Hi, I'm a boot. I suck. I'm torn. Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard and this is Lap of the World. Now, Liz and I feel very lucky that we get to do what we do on the channel, traveling around the country and N6S the world, to different tracks and other events, and by and large it's a ton of fun. We get to see cool places, drive cool racetracks, and meet a ton of cool people along the way. However, it doesn't always go completely smoothly, and today's video is the story of one such occasion where we experienced what could have been a show-stopping mechanical problem 2,000 miles from home and with less than 48 hours before the opening drivers meeting of the track days that kicked off NSXPO 2021. Now, if you followed our NSXPO 2021 daily vlog series, you'll probably know largely how this goes. However, I felt like it was worth its own video just to better explain the problem and what it was that we did to attempt to resolve it. So, with that said, our story begins about 4 days into our journey from Tennessee to Oregon in a hotel parking lot. Well, day 4 is not off to the best start, as you can tell. We came out here this morning and I was just going to check the oil, and I see this. That is a bunch of oil, or grease rather, that's been slung from down there. And I can show you the culprit here in just a second. So that is where one of the, now you're looking at the inner CV boot on the driver's side, and the boot has split. I was wondering if one of the bands had failed, but nope, the boot is just split. And it's slung a lot of grease out. So I'm going to have to find a way to at least stop the bleeding until we can get somewhere where we can get a replacement boot or an overboot kit of some kind to at least band-aid that until we can get into the where we're stopping for the track day, and then I can maybe effect a more permanent repair from there, but we'll see. This is kind of bad news though.
Well, our driver's side rear CV joint decided to split on us. And it slugged grease everywhere. So here we are at the local O'Reilly, and luckily they had a split boot replacement kit that we're going to use to kind of limp us along until we get to Oregon. Hopefully we can actually replace it then. We have reached out to a bunch of people on, NSX groups, so if you know somebody who has a new CV boot, please let us know.
Yeah, so the problem is it's the driver's side. If it were the passenger side, I could probably just pull the axle out and replace it, because I could do that in less than an hour probably, even with the tools I have with me, and I would just need to borrow a big enough torque wrench. With the driver's side though, to get that axle out, you'd actually have to drain the transmission and deal with some other, I don't know, it's assembled a little bit differently than the passenger side, so it's not as easy. So yeah, that's where we're going to try one of the split boot kits to go and repair it. Hopefully it survives and will get us at least to Oregon. I don't know, I'll see how good I get it on there as to whether or not I would trust it for track use, but we'll see. So we're playing it by ear at this point, but I'm going to get to fixing so we can get on the road. All right, so we've got step 2 mostly complete. So I've done some cleaning and then I've cut the boot off. So this is what I did to it, but I'll show you a close-up here in a second. But you can see right here is where it actually split, and that was where the grease was being flung out of at however many RPM the axle was spinning, which was enough that I don't remember which is centrifugal or centripetal force. Don't beat me up about that right now. I'm busy, but that's where it was all getting flung out of. So now that I've got this off, I need to do a little more cleaning before we can apply the replacement boot kit. Hi, I'm a boot. I suck. I'm torn. So why would a CV boot fail like this? Well, when your car is lowered, it changes the angle of the axle between the transmission and the wheel hub. This asymmetry squishes the CV boots, causing the bellows folds to expand and contract more than usual as the axle rotates, rubbing against each other in extreme cases. This added movement and/or friction can cause the boots to fail in this manner. Now my car isn't very low, however it's been a little low for something like 100,000 miles at this point, so there's that. So with the old boot off and everything kind of cleaned off, we need to repack it with a little more grease, and then we need to get to putting the new boot kit on. All right, so we got the new grease in. Now we got to start joining our boot here. So it comes in two pieces, and you've got some really aggressive, probably it's just CA glue, super glue basically. They're going to put it in one of these little grooves and then stick it together as you put it over the axle. You do have to trim it to fit on the end. I've done a mostly decent job of that, and both my thumbs are still intact, so we'll call that a win. I'm probably going to take the approach, because just to keep things simple, I'm going to probably glue half of it together, like the bottom half together, and then I'll sandwich it around as I glue the top half. I'll debate that until I actually do it, but that's our next step.
So the last part of the process is clean up a lot of the stubborn grease and wait for the glue to do its thing and swear some more. All right, last step, put the wheel back on, finish cussing, clean up, and maybe find something to eat.
Yeah, so I've done my morning calisthenics, swapping around the CV boot. So we've got a split boot kit that we procured from the O'Reilly's, and many thanks to them for the hospitality. But we are back on the road. We were driving again, as you can tell, kind of tenuously. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that will stick. We gave the rubber cement, the super glue they give you with it, plenty of time to cure, way more than what the kit recommended, just to make sure it was going to stay put. But we are going to check it the next time we stop for any reason, just to make sure that it's still there. Alright, well, quick afternoon update. So far, so good. We are still on the road. We're probably a few hours in since our last update. And kind of every time we've been stopping, either for gas or other pit stops, I've been kind of inspecting the situation back there to see if it's still holding on. And so far, apart from just having to tighten one of the clamps a little bit, I think we're doing well at this point, but rest assured all digits possible are crossed, so we are proceeding on at this point to where we're going to end up this evening.
Yeah, and we just wanted to thank everyone again who has reached out with offers of help, garage space, parts, really any number of things. We really appreciate it, and because
many thanks.
Yes, many thanks. And because of that, we are kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to, being able to get this repaired once we get to Portland. But for now, we're going to keep driving, keep watching, how things are going back there, and we will pick you back up somewhere in West Boise.
A little bit more relaxed start than we were yesterday. We have made it to Oregon, at least. We're not quite where we need to be in Oregon, but we are in Oregon. Our Band-Aid fix is doing its job, we'll put it that way. I think it's starting to struggle a little bit. It was struggling a lot, but it is still holding on. It really wasn't. Upon disassembly later, it became apparent that the repair boot had actually failed worse than the original boot. In hindsight, something like zip tying or flex taping something over the split in the original boot might have kept more grease in the joint, although good luck getting any adhesive to stick to axle grease. Regardless, the joint was still intact and not making noise when we finally did stop driving on it. So we're still moving at this point in time. Keep pressing on.
Yeah, we are just a few hours out at this point from where we're stopping in Oregon for the next few days, and we do have a lot of help lined up. Thank you again to everybody, and you know, and the hope is that we will have once we're done with that, we'll have a more permanent fix so that we can have a lot of fun over the next 2 days at Oregon Raceway Park.
With some loaner quick jacks and a replacement axle in hand, both from Dave of Cedar Ridge Fabrication, I lifted the car and scored some match marks on the alignment cams since the lower control arm has to come loose to remove the axle. Then it was time to get to work. Some quick notes on this job. The shop manual PDF I think calls for you to undo a ball joint, and it also calls for you to drain the transmission. The former direction was superseded in a TSB with instructions to undo the inner ends of the lower control arm to get the articulation needed to remove the axle. That part I knew, but I learned a few more tricks via the professional race engineer looking over my shoulder, Shad from Comptech. First, that you should remove and reinsert the inner end of the axle first because the spline is shorter on that side. He also pointed out that I didn't really need to drain the transmission prior to starting the job. The way the gearbox is baffled and the relative position of the fill plug and axle hole mean that you only lose a little MTF when you pull the inner shaft. Also, at least on the NSX 5-speed box, it is preferable to run a little bit low on fluid, as the real danger is with overfilling, where too high of a fluid level can lead to frothing, which hampers cooling. Had I jacked the car up from the driver's side, tilting it, I'm not sure I would have actually lost any appreciable amount of transmission fluid, but did have a few ounces drain out with the car level. Reassembly involved reversing the process, and a little help to set the new axle in place with a healthy shove to seat the snap ring. So, having now completed our parking lot pit stop over the course of a couple of hours, the question remains, did it work? Did we make it to the track on time? Were we still able to have fun at Oregon Raceway Park? Well, yeah, but more on that next week. Until then, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and we'll see you in the next video, if not at the track.